TPE Network. Fun yet informative podcasts.
Hello and welcome to the Mandalorian Fan Podcast. I'm Hank and I'm joined by Alex.
Hey, everybody. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. So we are going to be covering the very first episode of the Book of Boba Fett. So lots to get to. So let's get right into it.
All right.
We had, we're on Tatooine in Mos Espa, and we are inside a Bacta tank, type device, and Boba is regenerating, and he's having flashbacks throughout his dreams or whatever, and we get from Daddy's headless body to the stomach of a Sarlacc Pit, and then he burned his way out. I want to ask you this. One, how come the head didn't fall out of that helmet?
You know what? That's a really good question. And the only answer I have is somehow the head is sealed in there. So if you're listening to when Boba takes off his helmet throughout the episode, you hear that sound effect they use to make it sound like it's sealed. And I'm thinking maybe that's why his head isn't coming out of there. But I think, you know what, the main question to this little sequence is we see him coming or trying to get out of that Sarlacc. And so what he sees a stormtrooper. And so my question is, I want to know the story of how that stormtrooper got in there.
That would be even a better question to get answered, because weren't they at a point where they wouldn't have been? There wasn't one on the, what was that thing called? The Sandcrawler, or what was that thing where they were on?
That was Jabba's sail
floating
barge.
Okay.
So it was a sail barge. So all of you Kenner fans who raked all that money in to buy that GoFundMe project of getting that huge detailed Jabba's sail barge for your 3.5-inch action figures. There you go. So I wanted to know what the story was about how the trooper got there to begin with, because I think that there was some type of agreement between the Empire and Jabba. So how that stormtrooper got in there, I don't know.
Plot device.
There you go. So it kept me curious. But as we go on through, he gets out of there, and I don't know how many of you have read the Marvel Star Wars comic number 81. It was called Jawas of Doom, and it showed that Boba Fett got out of the Sarlacc. In fact, according to this story, so spoilers ahead if you haven't read the story yet, but it's kind of out of canon, so I don't think it really matters. But anyway, the Sarlacc spits him out, and he lands, and then he's just left there unconscious. Now, one thing that I thought was really cool about that, in our first episode, we see Boba lying there after getting out. And let's see if I can. Well, I probably can't. But anyway, it almost looked exactly. They got it from the one panel of that issue of Star Wars. So again, check it out. But according to the issue, Jawas came just like Jawas came in this episode, but the Jawas in the issue thought he was a droid. And so they kept him in the Sandcrawler, and then he lost his memory. Han Solo comes aboard and rescues him, and then he regains his memory, and that's basically the issue in a nutshell. So again, it's how they have the Jawas involved and stuff is very reminiscent of that Star Wars issue.
And then how plausible was it that he gets basically accosted by Jawas, and then he also gets taken by Tusken Raiders right afterwards? Is that pretty believable in that area?
Yeah, well, I think the one thing that I was utterly amazed is how long he lasted without his armor, because he would have been pretty susceptible to the elements of the desert, especially a desert with twin suns. So, yeah, that and what was I thought was kind of unique about these sand people, our earlier encounters with the Tusken Raiders, they've all, dressed the same, where these sand people are kind of, dressed more individualized. They have more of an individual part of it, where prior to that, they were kind of, we got to look alike because that's what's kind of good for the tribe.
And then they go single file because they try to hide their numbers when they're riding those bantha and all that stuff. All right, so when the Tuskens beat him up and knock him out, Boba and Rodian, Greedo's little brother, I kept calling him, but because he just has that weird look on his face, like
well, he has that. He's got like a red tinge to him, so I should have, knew about that right from the get-go that he was a red shirt. So Boba gets beat by the younglings of the tribe, and then that's how he gets knocked out. I had to watch the episode a couple times in order to pick that stuff up, because before it just looks like regular sand people, when in fact these were younglings.
Interesting. Okay. And then they had that massive watching over them. I kind of like them. Are they supposed to be cute and cuddly like they are?
Yeah, they're kind of like a cross between a dog and a lizard, and so they're more like a lizard dog, or a dog lizard, or I don't know. Yeah, they're a little. I don't think I would have one for that.
When Boba knocked him out, I thought he killed him. I thought he broke his neck.
Yeah.
That freaked me out, because I was like, well, that's the end of this series, because there's companies out there built to tear down any representation like that. So I was like, my mouth was open. And then when he comes back to, I was like, oh, that's good. And when he gets served when he has to fight one of the Tuskens, because he's already weakened and stuff. But I was like, well, it makes sense that he would get weakened. Can I bring up one thing that kind of was, it wasn't off-putting, but it was just something that I couldn't shake, and it was the actor's build. So you're trying to weave in the movie, the old movies, Boba, who was slender build. And then now we have this actor who has got a bigger, thicker build and stuff. And it kind of pulls me away from that.
Yeah, I think, he's a little bit thicker.
Yes. Did it pull you out of it at all a little bit, or no?
Well, I think a part of that was because, he's older. I think the last, kind of think about the last time he put that armor on, the Jango Fett armor, that was Attack of the Clones. And the Attack of the Clones, I want to say, was like 2002. So we're talking, over 18 years. So I know I've changed a lot of it in 18 years body-wise.
Right.
But yeah, see, it seems like, though, that particular actor, he's kind of had a resurgence as of late with the Aquaman franchise, and with and of course with Boba Fett and his first appearance or his return in The Mandalorian.
Finnick wakes him up and to get him out of that tank because they've got to go meet some people. And they did the new outfit reveal. Is this to sell toys, Alex?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Merchandise is key.
And you can't have new merch without a new outfit.
That's right.
Oh, man. So we have the Anguillish Dawn up first, and Finnick knows a little bit of the language, and they kind of lament, we need a protocol droid instead of this darn near 8D8, the torture droid.
Yeah, that's what he had, was the torture droid as introducing all the people coming in.
Is this foreshadowing that they'll get a protocol droid at some point?
I think they are. I think I remember seeing one.
Cool. Now Doc Strassi, leader of the Trandoshan family, is up next. And Boba was like, this is awkward. I used to work for him. And it's the director of the episode, correct? Robert Rodriguez, I believe.
You know what? I thought he was the major domo of the mayor. I have to see who played that part then.
Okay. Yeah, check that if you get a minute to Google.
But I'm sure, I know that Robert Rodriguez directed, and not only directed, he wrote the episode as well. So I was a little disappointed there was no Shark Boy or Lava Girl. Yep, I'm pretty sure he played the major domo too, because that looks exactly like the major domo.
Interesting. Cool. So maybe I have them mixed up. But whatever.
And you know what? It wouldn't be, past Lucasfilms for having them do both roles, because they've done that to Warwick Davis. I think it was Phantom Menace, during the scene of the pod racers. We see three segments right together of Warwick Davis and various garb. One was a human, one was something else, and one was a Rhodian. I'm like, oh, that's pretty clever.
Nice. So the mayor doesn't even come, and he sends somebody in his stead, and Finnick is like, should I kill him? Because the mayor wants a tribute instead of giving a tribute. So that is going to be something that's going to continue to go down there. Now the two Gamorreans.
And I think this was foreshadowing too, because this is going to be probably the main gist of our conflict for this season.
And the two Gamorreans that were Jabba's bodyguards, do you think he trusted them too easily when he said he was going to spare them?
Yeah, but I know what he's trying to do. And as we're going to tell a little later, he doesn't want to exude fear. He wants it to be more of a respect, and I think that's why we were seeing these flashbacks, because these flashbacks are going to kind of show that, I think, of him being with the Sand People.
Finnick scolds Boba for not accepting the ways of Mos Espa. Then Boba returns the comment when asked if they want their helmets serviced. He throws it back at her like, so he could get that dig in. I thought that was kind of funny that they included that.
Okay, so this just in. So Robert Rodriguez did play the Trandoshan leader, but he did not play the Twi'lek major domo. It kind of looked like him, but that particular man's name or actor's name is David Pasquesi.
Oh, interesting.
That played
he looks familiar.
Okay. Let's see. Groundhog Day. Yeah. Curb Your Enthusiasm. So it looks like he's a lot of TV credits.
Okay. At the sanctuary, we have a Twi'lek madam, and then their helmets are full of, were those Republic credits?
You know what? I'm not sure.
They better spend them fast if they are.
Yeah, I'm not sure. That's Jennifer Beals. I don't know if anyone recognized her from Flashdance, but she played that character. And so, you know, now the only thing I didn't like about this part, whenever we saw Boba Fett, he never, ever, ever had his helmet off. And now all of a sudden he's willy-nilly, oh, here, take my helmet off.
And it's these actors. That's the only thing I
didn't like. Yeah.
It's these actors' contracts. They want their face to be recognized with the character more so than the character's iconic, stance on whatever's factual.
I'm almost thinking that's an error on their part. They should never have done that.
No, and they what I've always contended is sign actors that know the character and will respect the character instead of these actors that are like, no, I will leave the set if I can't have my helmet off for this X amount of time an episode,
right?
And stuff. It's getting ridiculous because it goes against a lot of what we have known prior to now.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. And a lot of it, it's the ego of the actor. It's like, I have to have my face shown. And I can think of horror movies from back in the 40s in which for example, Boris Karloff, who's most famous for the Frankenstein monster. And he got tired of playing the Frankenstein monster because he was in this heavy makeup and people didn't recognize him. And so then his latter roles were all not any major makeup. He played, the Frankenstein monster a total of 3 or 4 times. I think he did it one time in his latter years, but other than that, yeah, it's, definitely the ego of the actor. They have to have their face shown and recognized.
Boba wants to rule with respect, but just then they are attacked. And those red energy shields, do they remind you of the barriers in Phantom Menace that were separating Darth Maul from Qui-Gon and our Obi-Wan?
Yeah. Well, see, at first I thought we were in danger of crossing streams here because I thought for sure that this was the Foot Clan.
Yes.
And I'm like, what the heck did they get the Foot Clan for?
That's what
these remind me of, the Foot Clan, and they moved like the Foot Clan. So people were describing them as ninja characters. I said, no, they're not ninjas. This is the Foot Clan. Come on.
I went to Mortal Kombat, to be honest, when I saw them.
Nice.
I was like, Mortal Kombat! Here we go. So they're an interesting looking bunch. And the bodyguards finally show up to make the save, but they made Boba look, pretty weak in his condition.
I thought so too. Yeah. Yeah. He was really weak, and especially for him to be out in public like that and for everyone to see how weak he really is. That's not setting a very good precedence of being the crime lord.
No. And what I loved was when he said when he told Fennec, bring one back alive.
Yeah.
He kind of had to add that to the stipulation, which was great. The way she looks at him is like, darn it. And he blows that other one up. That was beautiful with the freaking little
with his wrist rocket.
Bam! I was like, yes, we got to use it. And that chase scene was cool. One of the best moments of the episode for me.
I think Ming-Na Wen really shined. And, we always, for years, we've proclaimed how much of a badass that she really, really is. And this really, really showed it.
And I thought the Gamorreans would return at this point, but they did not. They dumped Boba in that healing tank where the dreams continue. I was like, wait a minute here. What's going on?
Yeah. We have to continue the story, from the flashback story.
They can't just kill him off. So he's shown a group of, was this group, did you know this group's name that is terrorizing the moisture farmers?
No.
I thought it was the red something, red Nictos or red something.
The Red Shirt Society. I'm thinking that it has to do something with what was the name of was it Crimson Dawn, the name of the crime group? So I think we're going to be, seeing a lot more of that. And I'm not so sure if Jabba was in control of that group or if he had any sway.
Okay. And we almost had like an Uncle Owen moment, I felt like.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no.
So this part right here, I didn't quite understand. I didn't know if they killed this moisture farmer or just, knocked him unconscious and just stole from him. And they're going to be back later to do it again, just to get water from him. I'm not sure.
And then the youngling makes Boba and the other individual dig for gourds of water. And Boba finds some and he starts drinking out of it, and that youngling tries to hit him. I was like, yeah, I don't think that's what this kid had in mind. You digging and then drinking the stuff that's so coveted.
Yeah, I'm not so sure that's a good thing to do with Boba Fett. If Boba Fett was at 100%, that kid would have bit it a long time ago.
Probably. And then Boba asking the fellow prisoner why he sold him out, snitches get stitches kind of way. And I never got that dynamic. I didn't understand, why they had that character be that way, the other prisoner.
I think for a lot of it, Transdosians have been known as for their cowardice. And I think that's why they had this character do this, just to I don't want to get in trouble. So I'm going to call it out, and maybe, I'll look good and they might let me go. So, yeah.
This is the point where they dig up the sand creature, and I didn't know what this creature was supposed to be, and we kind of talked about this off air before.
Yeah, this is kind of a new creature, and it reminded me of something. I know I told you this. There's a special effects artist by the name of Ray Harryhausen, and he's known for his special effects in films such as the Sinbad series, and of course the original Clash of the Titans. It's kind of like stop motion animation, kind of like similar to the original King Kong movie even. And that creature looked exactly like something that, like an homage to him, because I know there's still quite a large fan following to Ray Harryhausen.
Oh, awesome. Now, did you think it was believable? I did not, that Boba kills him with the chain, and because it was kind of like a nod to Leia killing Jabba, strangling him. And I was like, I don't know. They made it seem like he didn't have a lot of strength. And then all of a sudden, he's able to strangle this gigantic, super strong monster.
Well, maybe that little sips of water that he had maybe gave him all that strength back. I don't know.
Nanotech inside. And then the youngling takes the head back to the other Tuskens and starts telling the story about what happened and stuff. And he is offered water by what appears to be the leader of this group.
And so this is kind of how we have that respect thing. So the tribe now respects him for what he did, for helping the youngling and for killing. I think more or less for killing this creature.
A couple of issues. We were told in the prequels that the Tusken Raiders are animals. Savages, so to speak. Which is it? Are they intelligent and coordinated and merciful, or are they savages that will kill anybody who they come in contact with?
Well, they're very leery to outsiders. I really think they're humans, because they are humanoid in appearance. And I know, there have been some what's now dubbed as legend stories in Star Wars as to the possibility of their origin. And I remember there being a Jedi that lived among them. In fact, there was a Jedi Master and his son that lived among them, and they were indeed, sand people, and they were human.
Interesting.
But again, that's a non-canon story now. So
okay, and
that
we
probably doesn't say much.
We've seen Mando communicate with them in his series. So, all right, I just thought it was kind of, you know what I mean, when they do different things. I know it's movies to TV, but sometimes you're just curious on these things. And then it feels like Boba is not Boba. Like, who was the character that actually did run the crime syndicate wasn't it in some of the books or something? Wasn't there a totally different character that ran this?
Yeah, there was a character called Xizor, Xizor. And let's see if I can.
I was just curious because the only thing it's almost like they're shoehorning him into this position more so than it actually making sense. It's like a drastic departure. I guess if you went through something traumatic, maybe that could cause you to switch gears or something like that, like being inside a Sarlacc Pit.
Right.
But I just thought it was strange.
So he was the crime boss to a group called the Black Sun.
Okay.
And so Shadows of the Empire, that was this marketing campaign that they did in, I want to try to remember. I think it was in like 1994, 1995. And so they came up with this character and they created a story that took place right after Empire Strikes Back, but before Return of the Jedi. And again, it's still a really cool read. And it talks how Luke got his green lightsaber and how Leia got a hold of the bow charmer and things like that. So it's interesting, but it wasn't really anything that people were 100% in favor of, but it was a new Star Wars thing. In fact, they even got its own soundtrack, so it was pretty cool.
Interesting.
So it had its own video game. I don't know if you remember when we used to play that for the Nintendo 64.
Yes.
And it's just it was just a multimedia campaign, kind of like what they're doing right now with Star Wars High Republic, kind of the same idea, except it's going to last longer with this High Republic.
Well, shall we get into ratings?
All right.
I did not have that great of a time with this particular episode because it's, maybe because it's brand new or they were kind of laying things out and stuff like that. Like I said, some of the little nuanced stuff like body type and some of the, like I brought up what we were told by Anakin about the savagery of these individuals and stuff. Just some of the stuff is just kind of counter to what I went in thinking and
right.
such. So On this first one, I'm just gonna give it a 6 out of 10. What are you giving this one?
I think with me being so excited, we're getting a new Star Wars series after a whole year, and who knows when Mandalorian season 3 is coming out, because they haven't even begun filming the third season yet. But I know they've filmed Obi-Wan and
Ahsoka
as well. So those two will have to tide us over until we get a third season. I think I'm going to go with my, proficient 8 out of 10.
Awesome.
So I thought it was proficient, but there were a couple things that I wouldn't have done. I wouldn't have had Boba Fett without his mask, especially in front of the people. Cause as he was leaving that establishment, he had his, and I know it was filled with, coinage and stuff, but I'm not so sure I would have had my mask off. But,
no.
And what wasn't in the thing too, that Mandalorians never took their masks off or their helmets off. I know he's traditionally not a Mandalorian, but he kind of was our first exposure into that Mandalorian culture.
Most certainly. Well, let's get into some feedback. Elizabeth wrote in, and she had said, "Hey, I understand if you decide to take a well-deserved break, but just in case you're interested, here's some Boba Fett feedback." Elizabeth, I don't get any days off, but thank you for suggesting that. Elizabeth says, "I'm glad they immediately addressed the elephants in the room on how he escaped the Sarlacc Pit and lost his armor." I wanted to insert there myself. I wanted to put in there, they addressed the banthas in the room. Now she goes on to say, Jawas are the most evil beings in the galaxies. They are pretty bad. They're kind of terrible.
Yeah.
Why do Tusken Raiders enjoy kidnapping and torturing people for nothing? Do you think let's stop right there. Do you think they're doing some of this stuff so they have like people to dig for gourd, water for them and such?
It could. I know I kind of, liken it to Native American tribes of the West and of past, in which there's they did everything for the betterment of the group. And I know we had from episode 2, we had that thing in which they captured Anakin's mom for whatever reason, and part of that could have been with what they're doing, but they really tortured her too. And I'm kind of thinking maybe that was a message to, they're kind of encroaching on, they're the outsiders that are, encroaching on their land. So I wonder if that has something to do with it as well.
That's a good point. And I was wondering about all in all in this, were they consuming some of these individuals? Did you see the corpse like that was in that fire? And when Boba looks at that other prisoner, I was like, are they eating some of these individuals that they catch? I don't know. I would just...
Okay, I know what you're talking about. That wasn't a corpse. What that was the fire was in front of the dog lizard.
Mm-hmm.
And so you saw his spine and stuff, because I thought, are they burning the body? But no, so it wasn't a body you were seeing being burned. It was that it was the
massive.
I don't know the names of those creatures, but anyway, it was the massive sitting on the other side of the fire.
Okay, good call out, because I was disturbed deeply when I saw that. Elizabeth goes on to say, the insectoid droids look cool, at least at first glance. Interested to see how this show develops. Thanks and Happy New Year, Elizabeth. Elizabeth, Happy New Year to you.
All right, Happy New Year, Elizabeth.
Thank you for sending that in. That's great stuff.
There's a couple of things we didn't, talk about either that were kind of throwbacks to previous things. The Transdonian, is that how you pronounce that? Transdoshan, thank you. So I want to call him Bosk because that's the same type of species that Bosk is. But anyway, he comes in with a big pelt, and how many of you were wondering if that was a Wookiee pelt?
Oh,
I know I did. He has a Wookiee pelt.
Oh,
so
I thought it was a bantha pelt.
I could have been, but it could have been a Wookiee pelt too. Because
I sleep.
And again, my background knowledge on that is I know that that species would hunt Wookiees, and so that's why I said that. And then there was another scene when they're in that cantina in which we have old Max Rebo in there playing the keyboard. So evidently he survived the explosion of Jabba's sail barge. And then not only that, but we possibly have Figure Dan playing a guitar-like musical instrument. And so if you're paying close attention, it almost sounds like they're playing a string instrument version of the Cantina, what the Cantina played in the first Star Wars movie.
They just moved up the street.
Yeah.
They were like, this place is booming now. And I think I added an S by accident. Trandoshan. Trandoshan. All right. Next email is from Jason. I'm not impressed. I hope this isn't the Inhumans of the Star Wars universe. The whole episode felt slow and boring to me. Boba doesn't seem to be as good a fighter as our friend Mando. Melinda May is fun to watch again, but I think they should have hired the fight scene choreographer from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because even the fighting seemed boring. I give this a generous 5 out of 10, but maybe it should be lower. Disappointed, Jason. So Jason is very disgruntled about this, and that is understandable. That we're not all going to have the same opinion on the episode. He's not that far off from me, though.
I think he needs to give it a shot. Hopefully, they get better from that. But I agree with the fight scenes with Boba. That just, I don't know,
slow,
not too impressive, not slow. And Boba, you expect him to be this elite fighter, and we didn't see that at all.
No, and they do a great job of that when Mando fights.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You get great gadgetry with a combination of great fighting skill, and with Boba so far, yeah, might crawl back in that Sarlacc.
I guess after the final episode of this season, we'll kind of do a think back type thing, and yeah, I'm like I said, I have faith in this in this TV production that it's going to get better.
And last email is from Russ. Welcome back, Hank and Alex. I think this first episode of Boba Fett was just an okay start to the series. The biggest positive for me was how they jumped right into how he survived the Sarlacc Pit. I also liked that he still needs the Bacta treatments. It helps to show how badly he had been hurt. The negatives for me were we spent too much time with him just digging in the sand. And I thought the CGI on the Mortal Kombat Goro he fought at the end was not good. Hopefully this is just a table-setting episode, and things start picking up next week. And that's Russ. Russ, thank you so much for sending that in. And
totally agree with Russ. He's absolutely right.
And thanks, Russ, for always retweeting TPE Network tweets and such. We greatly appreciate that. Good stuff. That is it for feedback. Alex, anything else before we wrap her on up?
Nope. I guess tune in next week. See how see if there is an improvement. I'm hoping that there is. And again, I'm coming into this series really as an optimist, because this team really hasn't me wrong yet. I think a lot of people were kind of thinking that the first episode, it was not like the first episode of The Mandalorian, the very first episode, where we get that teaser at the end with Grogu making an appearance. And I'm thinking if maybe this show needed something like that.
Right. A little extra oomph.
Yeah, a little extra oomph. I mean, there's, like I said, there's a lot of eye candy and a lot of Easter eggs that we've talked about, but I think it just needed that oomph into it. So we're gonna find out exactly about all these different the crime organizations of this new Disney Star Wars universe.
And then I believe there are 7 episodes of this series, I believe.
Okay.
So we'll have to see how soon they ramp it up. Oh, hope it's not like Hawkeye where they take their time setting stuff up. You kind of want to just get in there and get going.
Marvel tends to do that, and sometimes that's off-putting, but one thing that I know a lot of fans were kind of put off with this was the length of the episode. It was relatively short. I think I saw it at 37 minutes, which is like 7 minutes longer than an old TV sitcom with commercials.
Right. Yeah.
So,
yikes.
Well, hopefully 45 minutes I think is sufficient. So, but 60 would be best.
Most certainly. All right. Well, that is going to do it for this inaugural edition of the Book of Boba Fett recap on our Mandalorian Fan Podcast. Thanks, Alex, for joining me on this.
No problem.
And remember, if you want to send in feedback, tpenetwork.com/feedback. But have it in by Fridays at noon Eastern time, please. All right. For Alex, I'm Hank. Until the next time, we're signing off.
See ya.
TPE Network. There ain't nothing else like it.